All right, class number 5 for Trinity Catechism class. We're still in the fifth commandment, and so we're coming up to questions 65 and 66. So, what is the fifth commandment? And the fifth commandment is honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. We talked about what that meant last time, that it doesn't just mean mothers and fathers. It means that, of course, and we are to honor our mother and father, but it also means any sort of authority. And so there are lots of fathers and lots of mothers in the world. So, question 65 is this: what does the fifth commandment forbid? Here's the answer: the fifth commandment forbids being disrespectful to or not treating others as their position or relationship to us demands. So, what that's getting at is that God has given certain people authority over us, and we are under the authority of certain people, and certain people are under our authority. Now, as kids, you don't have many people under authority because you don't have much responsibility. But as you get older, you'll be in positions where you have to serve and protect other people who work for you, or who are younger than you, or who you have authority over. And so that's what this is talking about, and it is essentially is saying the fifth commandment forbids being disrespectful to authority. And how are we disrespectful to authority? Well, if the authority asks us to do something and we refuse, and there's no good reason to refuse other than the fact that we just don't want to do it. Another way would be to obey, but to do so by rolling our eyes and by complaining about what they've asked us to do. And so that's another way that that you could disrespect authority. And so be respectful of authority. Listen to what they say. Fear God when you receive commands, right? Because there's no authority but that which comes from God. And so when we receive commands, when we receive wisdom, when we receive from authority, we should treat it as if we're receiving that from God. Now, the next question: what is the reason for the fifth commandment? And the answer is the reason for the fifth commandment is the promise of long life and prosperity if these glorify God and are for the good of those who obey this commandment. So there's a promise attached to this fifth commandment. The promise attached is that you may live long in the land. Okay, so that was a promise that when these commandments were delivered to Moses, applied to the people of Israel. And if they were not going to honor authority, then God would kick them out of the land and they would not have long life in the land. And so the application of that to us is that God will prosper your ways if you respect your mother and your father. You will have short life, and your life will be filled with trouble if you are unable to respect the authorities that God has placed over you, starting with your mother and your father. Respect your father, right? He is the head of your home. He has ultimate responsibility for your household. And so God has put him in that place, and you are to follow him. Respect also your mother. Your mother gave birth to you. She sacrificed her body so that you might come into this world. And she has, in most cases, and unless there's terrible neglect, in most cases, she is committed to your good and to your nurture and to your growing up and to your following the Lord. And so when your mother asks you to do something, you should hop to it and you should obey and respect them. That way, you're keeping this commandment, and ultimately, in honoring other authorities, you're honoring the ultimate authority of God. So that's question 65 and 66. We will move on to the sixth commandment next time. But Thanks for watching. Thanks for working on these things. And again, recite these to Corey, to Ben, or to myself.